What's good, y'all? Just want to get into some UFO talk, aliens, and that good stuff. Had to throw on my glasses for this kind of stuff. All right. First, I want to get into um, Neil deGrasse Tyson and some things he says about the UFO phenomenon. He um, he has an opinion that you like aliens wouldn't visit Earth because basically we're not smart enough and we're too hateful and crazy, so they wouldn't, even we wouldn't be even being on the radar. But and some people think that this is a good kind of like take, but I feel like it's a really bad one. I feel it's like a silly way of looking at it. Like first on, I'll talk about the we're not smart enough for aliens to care about us, but that's kind of dumb because it's like the smartest people, a lot of the smartest people on Earth care about things that are seem mundane to most of us. For instance, like there's people, brilliant people that like study slugs or study single cells or find like atoms extremely interesting or study frogs or just whatever, rocks. And so there's people that are like extremely fascinated by rocks, and usually it's the most intellectual people on earth. So I feel like intelligence doesn't necessarily mean something isn't interesting. Even if you want to say we're not that smart, you know, that doesn't mean we're not interesting. You know, sometimes it could just be like a difference. Like a species or something could be so different from you, so you can find it fascinating for just that reason. It could have nothing to do with how intelligent the thing is. It could just be like, wow, that thing is different than me. And and I believe if there are extraterrestrials visiting here, we would be interesting just because we're different from them, and I have to assume that we're probably going to be pretty different than them. So, you know what I mean? So that's one thing I think, and especially Neil deGrasse Tyson, you see a guy like that, and then he's, extremely smart, um, and he'll be like, blown away by something like an asteroid or if we were, something like that, And so if you can be really fascinated by stars and asteroids, then I don't understand. Like, and you're really smart. I don't see why a complex life form such as a human being wouldn't be interesting. You know, especially and then and also like and now I want to kind of get into the take where we're so violent and we don't treat each other right, so they wouldn't care about us. But I think a lot of times, like like when you think about the species that we're most interested in, a lot of times it's the violent animals, like the alligators and the lions and the tigers and the dinosaurs. Like a lot of times, those are the most fascinating animals just because they're vicious. And that's interesting. So it could be our craziness and our weirdness and our violence that is the thing that makes us interesting. Or they might perceive it like, damn, that thing's violent, but it's kind of badass. Like you don't know how they're gonna look at how a whole different species creature would look at us. And just because you're more intelligent than something doesn't mean you can't learn something from, like, you can be an adult and learn something from a little baby. So it's kind of like, or you can learn something just from nature. You can learn something just from observing trees. Or so I mean, it's like to act like, and people say, yeah, they wouldn't care about it. Like, that's just and I think it's just a negative kind of way of looking at the shit too. It's like we're just pieces of shit and they wouldn't be interested. Like, that's bullshit. Like, everything is interesting on Earth. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, like, you have people that are interested in oxygen, just protein cells, animals, cats, dogs, whatever. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like human beings, like weird ass human beings. Of course, that's interesting. You know what I mean? So, like, I don't like, most things in life are interesting, especially if they're just new to you. If you've never seen something like that before, it's interesting. You know what I mean? If there's a new kind of fish, people are interested in it. You know what I mean? Like, and usually it's the smartest people that are interested in the most, you know, like, no, mundane stuff. So, that they can see. Sometimes the smartest people can see the beauty and the kind of like things that most of us, you know, take for granted or don't care about. The smart people will look at it under a microscope and they just be like, well, it's just a cell. Like, why do you care about? So it's like, I don't know. I think we definitely, like, all the crazy stuff people believe and the crazy things that we do. It could be something as simple that could fascinate them, like us watching TV. They might not have that. They're like, these things look at, images on a screen and they're acting out. Like, that might just be alien and weird to them. And so that intrigues them and they want to understand that. So you don't know, or just, it could just not even be because we're interesting or whatever. It could just be to just observe and, just like we watch nature or whatever, or it just kind of to observe things and to keep tabs on things. So I think there could be plenty of reasons why another species could watch us. There could be multiple reasons if you really think about it, you know. And it could just be because control, like, I mean, it could be just like they could just want the control of just knowing, like, they got an eye on us, right? Like, because I mean, that's how we would be. We just want to have an eye on everything. Like, that's what we do. And so maybe they could be similar to us in that regard, which is like, you know, we just want to keep tabs on that life form. Like, we do that with animals. We have people that study, watch them, film them. You know what I mean? I just don't understand that take, and why anybody would think that's a good take. Like, if you're gonna, debunk it, or you're gonna I feel like somebody that smart should be able to come up with a better way to debunk it than that argument. That's why I feel like sometimes it's like, does he really even believe that? Or, like, he just seems like a hack sometimes, like, just like a government hack. I don't know. And he does it so arrogantly where it's just like, that's not even a good take. Like, I've heard people, like, debunk the UFO thing with, it's like, oh, he has a point there. But that just seems like that's not a good reason. Like, so it'd just be like, and when he says it in like a smug way, it's just like, it's annoying. But you know what I mean? Yeah. And so I kind of wanted to, that's basically all this video about. I just needed to get that off my chest because I just watched like a video on YouTube about Neil deGrasse kind of like saying, you know, oh, they wouldn't care about us. We're too hateful. We're too dumb. I just, that's silly. And maybe we are extremely primitive to them, but that doesn't mean we wouldn't be interesting. Something could be primitive, like we're more advanced than most life on Earth, but we're still interested in it, you know. So everything's pretty much interesting if you have the eyes to see. And if they were intelligent and more advanced than us, and I would assume that they would have the eyes to see that. You can find a flower fascinating if you have the eyes to see it. You know what I mean? So something as complex and as weird, and as a human being that has all these ideas, and you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, that's interesting. Even if it's because, even if it was just because we're crazy, and that's interesting. You know. So yeah, just wanted to get that out there, make a little video. All right, y'all. Peace.